Hello, and welcome to part 4 of 6 of this Bucky O'Hare one-credit, non-speedrun, non-tool assisted, non-special anything playthrough. My name is Carlos, and I'm currently in the Salvage Chute. First of all, for the 0.7 people I have who actually watch these videos, I apologize if I sounded groggy in the last video. It was probably because I had taken NyQuil and was groggy. Shoutouts to NyQuil for helping me sleep when I'm feeling sniffly. Anywho, back to the game. These frog mecha enemies are the most irritating enemies in the whole game. Fortunately, you never encounter them again. And instead of being, evasive, I just sat there and took the hits because I figured, hey, there are a bunch of insta-kill crushers in this next part. Why the hell should I bother trying to, keep my life total up? The fact that there's totally a life up there certainly didn't hurt either. Here, I suspect that I creamed myself a little bit at the excitement of insta-kill crushers. And that would be where I run out of ideas on what to talk about. Shoutouts to running out of ideas on what to talk about. Oh, I guess I could talk about how I died there. A fucking shitty-ass jump I made and how it got me killed. Anywho, maybe I should talk more about this game. This is the second of the 4, I guess this game's Wily levels. The cell is really trying to demoralize you. This level presents more of a... I guess this level is kind of more in line with the first 4 in that it gives you quite a bit of variety of terrain and hazards. Died midair there. Quite a bit of variety in terrain and hazards, and actually that's one thing this game does quite a bit of, and it's especially true in some stages more than others. Like in the Red Planet, there was the initial shooting segment, a bit of a platforming segment right after where you push rocks, and then a quickman element, but you didn't see the... God, I'm terrible. You didn't see the pushing rocks element again later in this game, and there are no more quickman segments, for instance. And this kind of ties into what I saw in Donkey Kong Country. I've been watching Game Grumps because, it's kind of fun to watch Egoraptor and JonTron kind of just dick around games they have no business playing. They have some pretty good opinions about gaming, but they are terrible at video games. The fact that I'm dying so often on this level means I shouldn't fucking talk. Anywho, so they're playing Donkey Kong Country, and two things came to mind as I've been watching their playthrough and listening to their commentary. The first is that I guess Egoraptor is not a big fan of Donkey Kong Country, and he also mentioned that Shigeru Miyamoto did not like the game, or games. I forget if Miyamoto had something against the series or just the first game. And this kind of rubbed some commenters the wrong way, and all I gotta say is, the dude is entitled to like and dislike whatever he wants to like and dislike. Look, I like Dynasty Warriors Gundam, and that game is pretty damn... Well, I'm not gonna say it's terrible, because something about it did something right, if I fucking wanted to play it all the time. But the fact of the matter is, people have different tastes, and subjectivity is such that what you prefer is not going to always be what someone else prefers. It's just a matter of, it's just, that's the nature of subjectivity. That's the nature of opinion, and it's a wonderful thing. We should have different tastes, but at the same time, we should be able to defend our opinions. It is not enough to just go, well, that's my opinion, and I'm going to stick to it. If someone calls out your opinion and says it's poorly formed, well, first of all, you got to determine whether or not you give two shits to reply to this person. If you do, you kind of got to go out there and say, hey, the reason I have this opinion is because this. So, for example, if someone said, hey man, why do you like this Bucky O'Hare game? It's kind of shitty, it's kind of like a bad Mega Man knockoff. It's not enough for me to just go, you're a bad Mega Man knockoff and I fucked your mother. I would have to actually, you know, if I gave a shit about this person's criticism and what they thought of me, I would tell them, look, it's because I think it does platforming level design really well. I think there are a wide variety of challenges, there are a wide variety of differing gameplay types, and unlike Battletoads, it doesn't kind of sucker you into thinking it's one genre and then turning into a very difficult example of another genre. Battletoads fooling people into thinking it's a side-scrolling beat-em-up, but it's actually just a really fucking hard platformer. A really fucking hard a lot of games. That really was a multi-genre game, and I'm not a big fan of it because it was just excessive in its difficulty. This game does provide a wide variety of challenges, but they're all still tied to the central theme of this is a run and gun, not really run and gun, but it's kind of a platformer where you have guns. It's like Mega Man, basically. So, I would argue this game has great level design, and I would argue that it has it has a fun mechanic in your ability to switch characters to conquer the challenges, and that the challenges are pretty well balanced. This game is tough, but it is fair. And that's what I would argue if someone tried to tell me the game was shitty. Like, I don't want you to force yourself to play something or like something that I like just because I like it, but I still have to be able to defend that opinion. So going back to what he was saying, what Eagle Raptor was saying about Donkey Kong Country, like, he just doesn't like it. And I think in his most recent one, he actually outright said, I'm not exactly sure why I don't like it, I just don't. And that's fair, like, not everyone's gonna like the same things, but I kind of would like to hear him explain what about the game kind of turned them off. And this is partly because I knew Shigeru Miyamoto didn't really like Donkey Kong Country, and while Shigeru Miyamoto deserves all of any gamer's respect for basically designing some of the most innovative and fundamental titles to gaming, he's just a dude, and he's not always right. Sometimes his opinions are batshit stupid. Like, whenever he gets to design game controllers for Nintendo, and he designs shitty controllers that only he would find fun. It's, you know, he's just a guy, and if he goes, well, Donkey Kong Country, I don't like it very much, sometimes the best response for that is to go, well, this guy's just a dude, and even though Donkey Kong Country is flawed, there's a lot of good going for it, and it is probably not as bad a game as he thinks. He probably thinks it's a bad game because it betrays some weird ideology he's got about gaming. And he has some weird ones, like thinking that Mario shouldn't have a story because it's just about a dude saving his princess, and you know, there's quite a bit of sexism going on there too. Princess Peach is one of the most sexist characters in gaming, and I say this to anyone who tries to argue that some other gaming character who is scantily clad but otherwise not sexist is somehow sexist, like Skullgirls, for example. Skullgirls is a great game. Shout out to Skullgirls and Mike Z. Everyone should play Skullgirls. Anywho, let's get back to the fucking game. This is a boss that I like to cheese by switching to Blinky when he crouches down there and then just ducking. This boss, touching any part of his body, one-shots you. And if you try to crouch with any character other than Blinky, you will die. So, earlier I talked about how Blinky's small sprite let me avoid having to deal with this boss and having to fight him the right way. And this definitely comes in handy because this boss is a bit of a bitch to fight. Despite the fact that I just talked all that shit about how this boss was going to go down to my cheap-ass fucking tactics, I just got myself killed there because I charged my jump for a split second and jumped up into his body. Way to go, Bucky O'Hare. Way to go. There's not too much more to say about this boss other than everything I've said. This is the third last boss of the game. Well, no, that's not true. It's more like the fourth last. The final level has two bosses, not counting sub-bosses. This Jenny method is something that I didn't used to do when I was a kid, but I saw in a bunch of videos when I was, like, you know, remembering this game existed and wanting to go back and play it. And this just gets this guy killed right fucking quick. And it's super handy, as you can see there. just about the only time I will use Jenny for squat in this game is to kill this boss. So, with the Salvage Chute behind us, the next level is the center of the magma tanker, which is a grotesquely difficult level. I am gonna die so many times in this level. You are gonna wonder why the fuck is this fucking fool playing a game on YouTube when he can't fucking finish one level, but this level is fucking hard. This level has so many insta-kill hazards and tough but fair platform placement and whatnot. The goal in this room is to get to that upper right-hand corner. As you can see, I'm not doing a terribly good job of it. The goal in this room is to get to the upper left. And touching those spikes, even the sides of them, will get me killed. Look at that. That looked like I should have been able to make it. Nope, the game saw it differently. Kinda odd that the floor kinda scrolls out from under Bucky's feet. Like, you would imagine he would go along with it. I don't think this game's engine really handled that. It didn't handle, like, conveyoring, really. That was the dumbest jump in the world. Way to go, Deadeye. Way to go, me, for controlling you and making you do that. I don't think this game did conveyors, really. Because I'm trying to recall a point in this game where there were, like, conveyor belt-type things. And I think later in this level? No, there were conveyors. There were conveyor belts in the cell. So the fact that you don't scroll along with the ground is just, I guess, an oversight, a bug. Maybe it was intentional. They thought it would make the game too hard. What do you do? But Deadeye goes right along with the wall when he's stuck to it. I suppose if he didn't, that would kind of break the game. Now, I thought this room was just way easier than the first. I'm not sure why it came last, but alright. This room is typical Bucky O'Hare platforming. They do shove the electric barriers that were initially present in the cell here, and that can make things tricky. This level has a new mechanic, and that's these gravity things that kind of pull you in the direction of the arrows. And that's one thing this game does over Mega Man. A lot of the Wily levels in Mega Man don't really introduce new mechanics. They kind of mix mechanics from the first bunch of stages together, and that's novel too. I really actually like that. But it's kind of cool when there are new mechanics in the final levels. Mega Man 9 did it with the whole rising gravity thing, and that asshole enemy who grabs you near the top and just fucking one-shots you. Shoutouts to Mega Man 9 and asshole enemies. I'm approaching the end of this clip. This is the part 4 of 6 of my Bucky O'Hare playthrough, so stay tuned. I will upload part 5 sometime in the future. Farewell, all those who enter here. Farewell, and yada.